but he want to go to college like 4 hours away from me, and I'm not there to like support him because he has that behavior issue. My question is to you is I'm holding him back as a parent because of his past. You know, he was on medication. I took him off. He'd been off the medication for like 8 years, but he still had issues, and I was able to work with him in the school. So I want him to go to school locally, but he want to go to school like 4 hours away. He's trying to go to Savannah State.
What is the behavior problem he has that you think will be affecting him at Savannah State?
Well, number one, I mean, I'm not around him, so if he, like, in his IEP, it states that he have, time, like, they have to give him breaks. He can, like, tell the teacher, you know, I need a break, so he can go in the hallway, or he has to be in the view of the teacher where he can break from his schoolwork, and then he can come back in, because he have, like, he be in rages. They try to do like a 1013, but I actually had them to stop that because it got to the point.
Wait, what is a 1013? What is a 1013?
A 1013 is when a child, like, if they in a rage, well, a teacher or a principal cannot control them. They call the police and the paramedics, and they restrain the child until the parent come, because I have to come and I have to give them permission to take him either to a mental hospital or to...
What is your son's diagnosis? Does he have any clinical diagnosis?
No, he had a learning disability, and then they said it was a behavior issue.
Okay, but what do you expect him to do at college if you're not there? What problem do you expect to occur or manifest if you're not there with him in college?
Well, my biggest fear is that if he go into the rage, I'm trying to explain to him.
How often does he go into these rages?
It depends, like...
No. How often has he went into a rage historically? How often has this happened up until now? Give me a ratio. Give me how often.
He had not had a rage within last year, and that was only with one teacher.
Okay.
To the point she called me on the speakerphone. And
so he just finished school? He just graduated?
Yes, he just graduated, and he wants to go to college. Dr. Umar, we talking about a child. He got a job at Six Flags. He's a lifeguard. So he actually showing me that, you know, his behavior is, you know.
This is what I would do. This is what I would do. Because you have a concern, I would tell him he has to go to community college or a local college, but community college is going to be cheaper on the pocketbook for the first year or the first 2 years to demonstrate to you that he can control himself emotionally. Because as a mother living in racist America under this police state, I can understand your concern from the perspective that the possibility does exist that he could have an emotional meltdown. The college will call the police, and they can end up, God forbid, choking your son out. Yeah. So what I would do is, not that they couldn't do that locally either now. That could still happen locally, but at least he's closer to you. So I would tell him, you have to prove to your mother that you can control your emotions. So you're going to go to school for 1 year or 2 years, whatever y'all decide together, locally. And if you have no incidents, you can then transfer to the school of your choice after the first or second year. That's what I would do.
Okay, and the second child, my last son, he have a speech impairment, which the schoolhouse, this year, I gave them choices last year. I'm in school for nursing, so my time is limited, but I tell them, okay, if you have a question, the IEP team, email me. Don't call me, because they call me for every little thing, Dr. Umar. And I was like, email me, call me if it's an emergency. He had behavior issues because the other children picked at him the way he talks. and the teacher don't.
What do you mean the way he
understand.
talks? Does he have a speech and language impairment? Does he need speech therapy?
Yeah, he gets speech therapy, but it's like, and another thing, when he write backwards. He's my only child. He's left-handed, but he write backwards, and that was a concern to me too.
Does he have an IEP?
Yes, he does.
He does have an IEP.
Yes, he does. And I asked, can he get OT? They evaluate him, but they didn't feel like he needed OT.
But you believe he does?
Yes, because I'm trying to get his writing back
right.
on.
Then you could ask.
Writing on track. And
okay.
He's going to the 7th grade this year.
But here's my question, Queen. Is he writing back? Okay, you said he's writing backwards, but does he have handwriting issue? Writing backwards is not a handwriting issue. Handwriting issue is, does he hold the pencil correctly and is he writing legibly? In other words, if I write perfectly but I'm writing backwards, that's not an OT issue. The OT issue is not being able to write effectively or legibly.
Like his 3s are backwards. His E's are backwards.
No, but answer my question, beautiful. Okay. Is it legible? If it's legible, it's not an OT problem. In other words, the occupational therapist's job is not to teach your son to reverse his letters. That's your job. Their job is to help him write more legibly. Is his writing legible?
Right.
Is it legible? Can you read it? Even though it's backwards,
yes, I can read it.
Then it doesn't necessarily sound like it's OT. What grade is he in?
He's going to the 7th.
7th grade. He could be dyslexic.
We got him tested for that too.
And what did they say?
Age, and then the doctor wanted him to come back when he got older, but that would have interrupted his schooling because the hours that they had for him.
What would have interrupted his schooling? Getting an evaluation?
No, the therapy it was like it's a special hospital they have here. Is for autism children.
Okay.
And only because that hospital is an hour away. That means he will have to go to school half a day, and then I will have to take him to the hospital to get the therapy.
Okay, I don't see anything wrong with that. That just needs to be in the IEP or the 504 plan.
Okay, I didn't know nothing about the 504 plan. I just found it out today by me listening to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the IEP, they add the behavior, which I know.
Okay, here's my question about okay, so he's getting in trouble. Is that correct?
The behavior only occur when the teacher don't understand what he's saying. Like he would tell you.
How effective has the speech therapy been? How effective has the speech therapy been?
He's been improving. I see improvement with him.
So when you say the behavior occurs when the teacher doesn't understand him, explain that to me. What does he do when he doesn't get understood?
Like he will repeat something. He will come to you and he will ask a question, and if you don't understand him, he will only repeat it so many times, and then he will throw a tantrum.
Well, he got to stop the tantrums, and you have to work with him on that because he's not no 2nd grader. You said he's in the 7th, right?
Yes.
He got to stop the tantrums. He's too big for that. So you have to he can't be doing that. That's over with. Tantrums is over with past 3rd grade. So you got to get with him on that. But maybe the IEP team. Wait a minute. What is his IEP for? Speech only?
Yes.
Okay. So okay. So the IEP team might need to come up with some strategies that the teacher can use to better communicate with him. Should he write his questions down to the teacher? That's another way. Since the teacher has trouble understanding his speech, maybe he needs to write his question down versus verbally articulating it.
Okay, and another question I want to tell you is I'm trying to separate from him because he's a baby of the 5 boys, and we have a very close bond, and the school know this. I'm trying to separate. So
you're telling me that you spoiled this boy, and that's a big part of the problem.
Well, I wouldn't consider it spoiled.
What would you call it?
My children.
No, there's Yes, the love, we got you, but then there's also kids getting spoiled. Is he spoiled?
I spend a lot of time with my children.
Is your son spoiled? You know what spoiled mean. Is he spoiled?
Well, I guess.
Stop being in denial. He's in 7th grade. You gotta, it sounds like he's slightly emotionally underdeveloped because you have overly protected him. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
Yes. And it's time for you to pull back because he's in the 7th grade. He'll be in high school year after next. That's not a good look. You got to pull back, mama. You smothering him. Let him fall on his face a couple times. He got to become a man now. That don't mean you don't get him the help he needs, though. You still need to have that IEP meeting and come up with some strategies whereby him and the teacher can communicate better. I think he needs to write his questions down to the teacher. That's what I think.
Okay. We'll try.
Or also, why not have the speech therapist do a couple sessions with the son and the teacher where they can, where the speech therapist can model to the teacher effective ways of communicating with your son. What do you think about that?
I can. I'm going to be honest. Some of these teachers, they don't read the IEP.
Well, if that's a problem, I agree with you. And if that's a problem,
I ask the teacher when they call me with behavior issues, I ask them, have you read his IEP? They tell me the case manager have not unlocked the IEP so they can look into it. So now I got to go into the school. I got to talk to the case manager and ask her why my son's IEP is not.
Nah. This is what you're going to do. Remember, talk less, write more. Write first, talk second. You're not going up there to have no conversation. You're going to write a letter to the principal of the school, who is the legally responsible person to supervise special ed in that building, and you're going to tell them that the teacher has not read my son's IEP. The teacher is a mandated member of the IEP team and process. She cannot do her job effectively if she hasn't read the IEP. If she hasn't read the IEP, then your son is being denied his federal right to a free and appropriate public education. It's what we call FAPE. So you need to write a letter specifically addressing the teacher's lack of knowledge about your son's needs as a problem, because that helps shed light on why she can't understand your son, because she hasn't tried. You follow me? That is a violation of the law. You need to write a letter requesting that meeting, and at the IEP meeting, then you have your conversation. Stop having informal conversations and request meetings to have the conversation. I know they're going to get tired of you calling IEP meetings, but you're going to tell them until y'all get it right, that's what we're going to do.
Okay, my last question, Dr. Umar. If they constantly keep calling me...
To do what? What are they calling you to do?
Like maybe small behavior issues. But I can't... If I'm in school or if I'm working, I can't constantly keep running to the school. Can they have me arrested? Because...
No, they can't have you arrested, but this is my question. Your son has an IEP. You know what that means? That means that federal law requires any special ed child with a behavior problem, the IEP is obligated to conduct a functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior plan. A functional behavioral assessment and a positive behavior plan. So it's time for you in your letter to state that my son has an IEP. You guys are constantly calling me. I have never been invited to a functional behavioral assessment meeting, and I've never been invited to a positive behavior plan meeting. So what that means, my queen, is that you need to request the FBA and PBP. They should have already done it. But let me ask you this. Have they ever called you to a meeting to develop a functional behavioral assessment? Have you ever heard of an FBA?
No, sir.
Exactly. They never did it, which means they're in violation twice. You got 2 violations, at least 2. One, you got an IEP team member, the regular teacher, an IEP team member who don't know the IEP, violation number 1. Violation number 2, you have a student with an IEP, disabled learner, who has behavior concerns, and instead of conducting the federally required functional behavioral assessment and positive behavior plan, they just want to keep on calling you up. That's violation number 2. So what you need to do next, my queen, is you need to write a letter to the principal and you need to email it to me so I can look at it before you submit it.
Yes, sir.
And your letter could also include a request for another occupational evaluation because you really believe your son needs it. And you could even make that request an independent occupational assessment if you don't think the school is being honest with you about your son's OT needs, because they might just not want to provide him with the service at all.
Okay, this is a different school. When they did the evaluation, he was in elementary.
It don't matter what school he's in. It don't matter what school he's in. All schools have the same obligations towards special ed. It don't matter.
Okay.
So it's time for you to write a letter.
And the last question, when I do an IEP meeting.
You said your last question was the last. I'm picking with you. Go ahead, Queen. I'm picking with you. You good? I'm picking. Where you calling from, by the way?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, Atlanta, hot Atlanta. Okay, that's my spot. Me and Atlanta get down like that.
That's why I'm waiting on you to come.
I'm coming back. I'm coming back to do my book signing. I will be in Atlanta for the book signing.
Because I missed you twice, and I was very upset because I was going to bring my children to your lecture, but I'm waiting on you this time.
Oh, for sure. No problem. Go ahead with your last question.
IEP is set up. All the teachers are not able to come to the IEP, which makes me mad.
Wait, stop. Here we go with a third violation. Your case is very good for the people on Twitter and Facebook. This is my first time going live on Twitter. I've never been live on Twitter before. I didn't even know you could go live on Twitter. I was just on my Twitter and it popped up saying I could go live. So this is the first time on Twitter. July the 3rd, is it today? Yes, July 3rd, my third day of the lunar eclipse fast. First time on Twitter, so we making Twitter history right now. Okay, so let's deal with this. There are 4 people who are required to be in an IEP meeting. 4 people. The IEP team is 4 people. It's the regular ed teacher that teaches your child, the special ed teacher that teaches your child. You as the parent are a mandated member of the team. And the 4th person is the LEA, the local education agency representative or substitute. That's just a fancy word for principal or somebody he gives authority to conduct the IEP meeting. You follow me? So parent, regular teacher, special teacher, and principal or replacement. So when you say you have an IEP meeting and some of the teachers do not show up, if you say you have an IEP meeting and some of the teachers do not show up, you're telling me that they violating it again. So you're telling me that you're at a meeting and it's missing the regular teacher or the special teacher? Is that what you're telling me?
It will be me and a special teacher.
Only. It'll be you 2 by yourself.
Yes, sir.
With nobody else.
No.
That is not an IEP. The next time, okay, this needs to go in your letter. You're going to have a nice little letter. I don't like letters to be more than 2 pages, but yours might be. Another complaint you have, you're having meetings without the team fully assembled. Now, let me say this to you, my queen. They can ask you to waive your right. Everybody don't have to be there if you say they don't. But if you want the whole team assembled, they have to be. So in your letter, you're going to write the complaint that the team is not coming together. And to be honest, that's disrespectful to you. That is very disrespectful, because what it's saying is your child ain't that important for all them to have to come. And the thing about it, the law requires that they be there unless you say they don't. Now, if you waived your right, let me ask you, have you waived your right to have the whole team there?
No.
Okay. So in your letter, you need to say that the IEP team is not being fully assembled. Constantly, this has happened. And from now on, you want everybody there. And if they're not there, you're going to write a letter of complaint to the superintendent. That's how you handle that.
Well, can I cancel the meeting?
Yeah, oh yeah, this is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. Well, remember, you're going to give them the letter. So the letter going to let them know that you want the team fully assembled, right? Then when you show up and they not there, you walk out. You cancel on the spot. I'm canceling this meeting because y'all did not fully assemble the team. There should be a regular ed teacher at this table, special ed teacher at this table, LEA at this table, and anybody else you deem necessary. If you want the speech therapist to be there, if you want the school psychologist to be there, whoever else you feel needs to be there. Yes, cancel it, and then you write another letter. Only this time the letter is going to go to the superintendent, and you're going to carbon copy the principal saying that they're violating your rights.
Oh, okay. So, yes, I will.
So you need to write that letter, email it to Dr. Umar, text me to let me know you wrote it, because I want to make sure it's correct and sound before you send it in.
Okay.
You got me?
I will. Yes.
And make sure you follow me on either Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook so you'll know when the books.
I follow you everywhere.
Okay.
I follow you everywhere.
I want to make sure you'll be able to see the information when the book signing is scheduled for Atlanta.
I want to be there. Like I said, I'm waiting on you. This year, I'm waiting on you.
Definitely. And I might even do the black parent training too while I'm there. We'll see.
Yes.
But I don't know what the social distancing in Georgia, in Atlanta, what is the social distancing limitation for indoor event attendees? How many people can y'all have indoors for an event in Atlanta due to COVID?
I'm going to be honest. They open it up. Some people require like 10 people at a time.
No. I'm saying, what does the law say? What did the mayor say? What is the legal limit? In other words, they might say no more than 50 people, no more than 100 people. We have to find out what that is.
Yeah, because different areas do different. Some people, they do their own numbers. So,
right, but for the city, there'll be something for the city, though. There's a citywide. The mayor should have issued something for the whole city. And I'm sure the governor issued something for the whole state.
Mayor Keisha Bottom, the governor said something, but she haven't really said, anything about that yet. I think they holding back on the schools instead of going on the 3rd, they holding them back on the 17th. So.
Okay. Well, let me say this to everybody watching on Twitter and Facebook. If you live in a city where we are allowed 50, at least 50, if you live in a city where we are allowed to gather indoors in a number of 50 or greater, we can go ahead and schedule a black parent training. If we can do 50 indoors, I can go ahead and schedule for the summer some training. So this is for everybody in the country. If you live, and we only doing one training per state. So if we do Atlanta, that's Georgia. So that'll be it. But anybody out there, if you want to host the training, they must allow 50 people indoors. And we already did DC, we already did Jersey. They already been done already. Okay. But if you live in other states that will allow at least 50 people indoors, email me, DrUmarJohnson@yahoo.com, or text me 215-989-9858, and we can go ahead and schedule your training for the summer. That's how we'll do that. So my queen, you got your marching orders. You're going to get that letter typed up. You're going to email it. You're going to text me when you email it so I know it's there, and we're going to go over it by phone.
Yes, sir. You
got me? And stop spoiling that boy before I pull your fingernails out.
I'm going to let go, but that's my baby.
I know that's your baby, but you got to let him go. Y'all mothers, you are a mother, not a smother. See, there's mothers and there's smothers. Don't be a smother, be a mother. And the mother knows when to stop smothering and start mothering. You follow me? Stop smothering, start mothering. You did need to smother for a little bit. I got you. That's your baby. But now it's time to stop smothering and start mothering.
Well, I got a grandson, so
so you can smother him for a few years and let that other one go.
Okay.
All right, babe. Keep me posted on that letter.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. All right. So yes, family, if you live in a city that will allow at least 50 people indoors. 50. Dallas, Texas, we're going to make that training happen, but I need the indoor limit for Dallas. I got the good attorney working with me on that. But we need the hard indoor attendance limit for Dallas, Texas, because we already got people who register. Greensboro, North Carolina, we need the indoor attendance limit for Greensboro, North Carolina as well. Maryland, we still need to do a Maryland training. Okay. So let me go back to the phone. Take a few more of these. We got a UK question. Let me hit them. My phone bill is due. This is really going to make the phone bill due.
Hello?
Peace and Black Power, Queen. Is this the sister who was on the line earlier from the UK?
It is me, yes.
Oh, right, all right.
I did get cut off and I didn't know what else to do.
Okay, so you didn't...
interruption.
Okay, so you didn't get a chance to hear me on the social network?
No, I didn't.
Okay,
I was just
it's okay.
trying to play your video because I was trying to kind of go back because it took me off the live feed.
Yeah, I hung up because we had some detractors. A couple coons was on the line when you were talking and they were trying to interrupt the call. But I can go over it now. 5 points that I wanted to make to you, and I'm glad that you called back. Point number 1, you have to impress upon the teachers that they have a responsibility to control the behavior in their class. You are not the behavior manager for your child's class, and you need to make sure the teacher know that. And you need to make sure the principal know that. That's number 1. Make sure they don't make you a scapegoat, because they're trying to make you a scapegoat for the misbehavior. Let them know that I have a responsibility to my son's behavior, but so does the teacher. That's number 1, okay? Number 2, you want to see the classroom management program in your son's school. What are the consequences in this class when my son misbehaves? What are the rewards in this class when my son behaves? So you want to see what the teacher is doing. And the reason why you want to see what the teacher is doing, and you want to say this, that the teacher affects the behavior as much as the behavior affects the teacher.
That's very interesting.
The teacher affects the behavior as much as the behavior affects the teacher. Go ahead. You were going to say something.
Right. So where I've had to challenge them on the relationship between the teacher and my child, they've said to me that they don't, because I've said that I put my children under the trust that you will take of my children and treat them equally. And the feedback I get is, well, my child has some kind of behavior where they're not attuning to the teaching. It didn't make sense to me what they were trying to explain to me, but it seems that they were kind of blaming my child for not listening to them, but that's not his characteristics because he listens. And so I've tried to kind of explain to them that when I drop off my child under your care, it is your duty and your responsibility that my child performs well at the school and under the class. And so when I try to kind of ask them to run the scenarios where, they have kind of come to that whole judgment that he's got some behavioral problem, then it just does not come together. So it seems that they're constantly blaming my son, and I don't understand how they can justify that, because I keep saying to them, it's your responsibility, it is your duty, just like if I go to work and I'm given, some piece of work to do or a project, it is my responsibility to manage that project. I can't understand why you're putting my child in the position of the adult when you are the adult and you're supposed to have a good relationship with my son, and he's performing well at school, and they said, he's lacking in social, qualities and what. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, we're deviating away from this whole issue now. It becomes so complex, and it's like they're trying to kind of veer me off course.
and it becomes almost like a battle between the teacher and myself, and then the head teacher steps in, and we just don't get anywhere, which frustrates me. And yeah.
So let me ask you this. Have you put this in writing, or have you only verbalized this?
I have put it in writing, and they've invited me in to have a conversation about it. Now, what happened then was that they brought in, there's a body that they have within the borough where I am in. They brought the head of the readers, they call them the readers. They deal with special AIDS children and what to do. And she sat down there and she said to me that I better cooperate because I need to look around me. I live in a small community, so I better cooperate because they need the funding. I think, okay, well, I have no issues, accepting the fact that you're accusing my son of behavioral problems, but you have not provided me any evidence. Now, you've had your psychologist come in, and you've not been showing me the report. But from the conversation I gather, it seems that he hasn't got any problem, but you're forcing me to sign up for this because you're trying to kind of stereotype me because I'm a single mother, but I've got a job to go to. I've got 3 children to care for. You're offering me all these benefits. I don't tell you to those benefits because I can work and I can still train my children and give them the best that I can. So why are you trying to force me to sign up to these things? I've been to the local GP, and the GP also says that there's no problem. Even from record, you'll see that my child performs ahead of the class, which he is in. So he does advanced math and English and what to do. So why are you trying to... And this is when I had to go back to the Ministry of Education because I just thought this is bullying and this is you're trying to stereotype me, and I'm not going to sponsor it maybe because of my African background.
No, you're doing right. You're doing right. But did I hear you say that the psychologist produced the report and he felt that there was nothing wrong, but they wouldn't give you the report?
They wouldn't give me the report. I asked for the report. So this every day, they've not given me the report. They've all have conveyed to me that the report came to the school, and what was detailed in the report was that there's no medical issues, no I think at the time it was ADD, and then they moved to I don't know what it is, HDAD, and then it's not the behavioral problem, but he hasn't got any of that. He just thinks that he's just bored in the class and he needs to be stimulated more, and they're already doing that, but he's getting more and more bored in class.
You know what you need to do? Number one, you need to write a letter to someone in the central administration office for your schools and get a copy of that report. You have a right to that.
I wrote to them, I emailed them, I contacted Hertfordshire County Councils, and I asked them I would like a report, for my child,
What did they say about you getting that report?
This is my fault. They said they had not received it yet, but I didn't follow up. But they sent me a report from the previous head teacher with all the, false accusations of what you do. And then I responded to that just to keep a record, and also stated in my record that I have asked for, I've asked for the assessment, and I'm still waiting for it.
Okay, follow up and get that report. But here's what I think you need to do, Queen. I think you need to hire your own private psychologist or behavior specialist and have them go into your son's classroom and observe him. That's how you shut this whole thing down, by hiring your own person. And you simply write a letter to the principal. I've retained the services of a psychologist or behavior specialist. They're going to come into my son's class to observe him on 3 different occasions, on 3 different days, at 3 different times. So it might be week 1, Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning during math. Week 2, Wednesday, 11 o'clock in the morning during language. Week 3, Friday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon during social studies. I recommend at least 3 different observations. They only have to be 1 hour. 1 hour. And you ask the teacher during which periods is your child most likely to get in trouble. And those should be the periods where your private psychologist comes and observe your son. Because if he observes your son 3 times, 3 different days, 3 different subjects, and he don't see no evidence of this, and then you guys have a meeting with the school and he says, I've observed this kid, he's off task, but so are the other kids, or no more than the other kids, and he don't see no clear relationship between what that teacher is saying and what your son is doing, you shut the whole thing down. You literally shut it and close it down. And I really recommend you do that, Queen, because what is happening with you, which happens with so many of our parents, you are at the mercy of the teacher's reports. You are at the mercy of the teacher's opinions. You don't have your own set of eyes in that classroom. And you need your own set of eyes in that class to determine if the teacher is exaggerating. Because even if she's telling the truth, she might be exaggerating. And I also want to be clear that a lot of white teachers do have it out for our kids. Not all of them, and maybe not even her. But I do know, having been in education and psychology for 20 years now, there are teachers that once they have an issue with a kid, they don't like a kid, they will lie on that kid, they will intentionally trigger that kid into behavior episodes. So you need your own person in that class. Your next step is to hire somebody who can go in there and look for you. That's what you need to do, to shut the whole thing down.
Can you recommend someone? Because I'll
UK, who I know. You know what? Do this for me. Send me a text message on WhatsApp. Are you on WhatsApp?
I am, yes.
Okay, same number. Add me on WhatsApp and send me a text message just saying you need a recommendation for a psychologist in the UK. I'm gonna talk to some of my connects in the UK and see who we have that we can connect you to.
Super. I will definitely do that.
That's going to be the most powerful thing you can do. I'm telling you, to have some professional.
I know it's coming back again. It comes September. I think he kind of made a mistake. I'm talking about the head teacher. He kind of muffled under his breath with, he's setting up something along the lines of, gosh, there has to be a way to kind of shut all of this down because you can't keep going through this again and again. He wasn't saying it directly to me. He was just kind of muffling it under his breath as though they'd got it out for me and my 3 children. Which, I'm just thinking, okay, what do I do now? I don't know if it was intended that I was meant to hear that or, but I was able to just hear even they were saying. So I know they're coming back again come September when they go back to school. And at that time, it's just going to be my youngest, at the school. Now, my next question is my eldest. He's a super intelligent child and very clever as well, but he doesn't seem to be performing as well as he should be now. And we've had this conversation, and he has kind of expressed to me that, Mom, we don't want all this trouble again with this school, so it's just better I just kind of play it down, just so everyone is happy and we don't have to have social services coming in or the police or one thing or the other with the school. And for me, as a parent, hearing that obviously my son kind of, has experienced so much, and sometimes he just feels it's just better that I just play dumb and everyone. And I don't know what I will have, in terms of, psychological effect and,
And he's saying he needs to do that to avoid what? He's saying he needs to behave like that to avoid what?
Well, because he doesn't want them to start this whole, behavioral problem issues again. Because the thing is, I've got 3 children with different skin shades.
Okay.
Color. I hate using the word color.
Okay.
But my eldest is very dark in complexion, and my middle is very pale, and then my youngest is in between. And I say that they pick mostly on my eldest so much, and then my youngest, but not so much my middle. Now, even my third question is, I need to know how to kind of deal with the school, because they've been telling my son, or there's been some conversation without my knowledge, because I know it's against the law for them to be having any conversation or interrogating my child without my presence being there. They've been saying to him about his father. Now, they all come from the same father. But they've been saying things along the lines of, oh, it's your father white, your father must be white. And my son would come here and say, Mom, is my dad different? Or is it? I'm like, why are you saying, where is this coming from? You know your father. I know we're no longer together, but you know your father. So, and I just feel very angry with the school. And so when I spoke to the head teacher, who is left now, it's almost as if to children and not so much focusing on the the issue at hand. So it's just been so many battles that one has got to fight. It's so difficult to kind of focus on one and, they try to kind of control the whole narrative. It's been a constant battle, but I don't run away from. It's not fight, but when it comes to my children, I don't joke with them. I just don't appreciate them saying things, mess up my son's head into thinking because he's lighter, then that means his father must be different. So I'm trying to hide who his true biological father from him, or it just frustrates me the way they behave. Now, sorry, going back, sorry, I'm going around in so many directions, but going back to, my youngest son, who I know they're going to be coming back at me with some issues, they seem to not take responsibility. They seem to blame my son that, sometimes he switches off and then he switches on. I'm like, he does not switch off or switch on. He is a very active and very strong-bodied child. When you ask him to do things, he will do it with so much, strength. That does not mean that's a behavioral problem.
Gotcha.
So, it's like I'm trying to kind of educate them about my race of people. Oh yeah, and the other thing they always say, oh yeah, well, we're not used to black children, in this environment. I'm like, well, hang on a minute. We live in a diverse society, and the equality. I would like to believe that plays a role in this school, and every child is treated equally. And then they go quiet, and nothing forthcoming. I think it seems like it's just kind of done deliberately, where there's just nothing, there's nowhere to kind of progress onto.
Gotcha.
I don't know what they're doing. I just need to know how to kind of counteract.
No problem. This is what I want you to do, love. Add me on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Add me on WhatsApp so that way you and I can talk more. We can finish the conversation on WhatsApp. That way you don't have to pay for it and I don't have to pay for it. All right, so make sure you message me, but definitely message me to see message me to help you find the black psychologist over there in the UK.
Yeah.
If we can't find a psychologist, we'll try to get a social worker, a counselor, but we got to get somebody who's credentialed to go into that class and observe your son once school comes back in session. That's how we're going to shut the whole thing down. And also asking them for their behavior plan is another way. And please follow up on getting that psych evaluation, because I like to take a look at that too. All right, but make sure you add me, Queen.
You said that, Doctor.
Okay, make sure you add me on WhatsApp.
You still there?
Okay, yes, I'm still here. Make sure you add me on WhatsApp and we're going to talk again.
Will do.
Okay,
Thank
love.
you
No problem, no problem. Keep in touch. All right.
Okay, thank you. Will do. Bye.
For those of you who live outside the country, you don't live in the United States, when you have a question, call me on WhatsApp. Don't call direct. Text me direct. Okay, but then you can let me know that you're on WhatsApp. How do we do this? Text me on WhatsApp and text me direct. When I see that I need to call you direct, I will go over to WhatsApp when I see it's an international number, and then I will call you on WhatsApp, okay? But I don't want you to have to spend money, and I don't want to run up my bills. I need every penny for FDMG, okay? And that's how we will do that, all right? I just blocked my first person ever on Twitter. I got a question. Is Twitter better than Instagram? Is the live, the sound, the view, is Twitter better or worse than Instagram? Talk to me, Twitter people. Talk to me, Twitter people. Is the Twitter feed better or worse than Instagram? Okay, some people think Twitter is better. Some say it's the same. Some say Instagram is better. Okay. Well, let me say this to you brothers who are blaming black women for a father not being in the house. That's ridiculous. Why would you blame black women for the father not being in the house? It's not their job to bring the father in the house. I don't understand that, okay? Now, if they're keeping the father from being in the child's life, then they are at fault. but it's not the mother's responsibility to make sure the father is in the house. We have to stop this blaming the black woman syndrome. I don't like that. If it wasn't for our women, we'd be in a much worse condition than we are in right now. Okay? So I'm going to get ready to wrap up. I've been with you guys since 5:45. I'm going to go to 9:45. That I would have gave y'all 4 hours. So if you have a question, text my cell phone right now, 215-989-9858. If you have a question, you can text my phone and I will call you. Text the word question to 215-989-9858. Text the word question to 215-989-9858 and I will call you. Okay, we got 20 minutes. I started at 5:45. I'm going to end at 9:45. That way I gave y'all 4 hours. Okay. Text my phone and I will call you. Text the word question. If you have a question about your child, children only, education and mental health. Okay, text my phone and I will call you. 215-989-9858. Okay. I didn't say send me no love hearts, ladies. I love you too, baby. But we focus on the parent call right now. Okay? And ladies, stop sending me pictures because I'm trying to focus on the parent call. I don't want to see no 5'5" thick in the thighs right now. We focus right now. I'm fasting. I'm renegotiating my relationship with feminine energy. Peace and love, sister. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Georgia.
From Georgia. Go right ahead with your question.
I have an 8-year-old boy.
Are you on speaker? Because you're a little faint. You're a little distant.
Can you hear me now?
Much better. Much better. Go right ahead.
Okay. I have an 8-year-old boy, and he's very bright. When he first started school, he started at 3, and he started a pre-K or K3 program. He completed 2 years of curriculum in 1 year. So they wanted to move him to kindergarten. So we started kindergarten, and he was already further than the end of the kindergarten curriculum when he started. So they had some difficulty there. I tried to work, and this was in private school. I tried to work with them to get some more challenging curriculum together. That didn't work. He went to 1st grade. They wanted to skip him again. I didn't want to do that. They ended up telling me they didn't have the resources to keep him stimulated in the classroom. So I took him to another school, and same problem there. That was a charter school. I took him to a private school, another private school. Same problem there. This is now 3rd grade. Same problem there. But they started saying that he had behavioral problems. So I said, well, let me do my due diligence. So I took him and had him evaluated independently by a psychologist. And the psychologist said there's nothing wrong with him. He doesn't have ADHD. He feels like he's been discriminated in the classroom, and he has a genius IQ.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of like, I've done 2 private schools. I've done a charter school. I've done a regular public school. Nobody, no matter what I tell them when he starts school, nobody tries to accommodate or do anything to help make sure he's challenged in the classroom. And instead they say it's a behavior problem. He has a behavior problem. But
Okay.
that normally doesn't even come into play until the second half of the school year.
Okay. To make sure I'm understanding you, your son is not in special education, correct?
No.
What grade did he just finish this year?
3rd.
Okay. His report, how long has he been in the school that he just finished this year? How many years?
He's been in a different school every year.
Okay, different school every year. Okay. We got to slow that down too, because that can cause adjustment issues because he's not getting consistent instruction from the same place. Although I understand why you did that, but we got to try to keep it a little bit more consistent. How did he end the year academically? What were the grades?
He's always A's on everything.
Okay, you are in Georgia. Do we know if the state of Georgia still has a mentally gifted law? Do you know?
I don't know.
I need you to investigate that. And what you can do is go to the State Department of Education's website. In fact, let me see something. I'm going to see if I can pull it up while I have you on the phone. Why does this keep coming up? I didn't ask for this. Okay. Georgia Department of Ed. If you live in Georgia and you know the answer to this question, please post it on Facebook or Twitter. Does Georgia still have a mentally gifted law? Department of Ed. Okay, here's the Georgia Department of Ed. Special Ed Services, contact information. I want to see if I can Google. Okay, search. I'm going to search mental giftedness and see what comes up. Because if Georgia still has a gifted law, you need to request a gifted evaluation for your child.
He did get giftedly evaluated. He did a gifted evaluation.
In Georgia?
Yes, and he scored in the 99th percentile.
So he's gifted. If he scored in the 99th percentile, that's gifted.
Yeah, I mean, he's gifted.
Okay,
as
so
the psychologist said he has a genius IQ.
Okay, but you said you had him independently evaluated. I'm talking about the school, not outside the school. In other words,
we did both.
So he was evaluated by a school district psychologist, correct?
He did the gifted evaluation assessment.
Right,
so
but
whatever they do for that, yes.
Right, but was he evaluated by the school district psychologist?
No, not a school district psychologist.
So who did the gifted eval then?
The gifted administrator at the school he was at.
And when was that? How long ago?
When?
Yes, how long ago?
That was in 2018.
Okay, okay. So it sounds to me, so you have a report that classifies your son as mentally gifted.
Yeah, he's definitely, I have the report.
Okay, so then you need a letter to, okay, so this is what you need to do then. You got 2 pieces of research and a letter. Research number 1, contact the State Department of Ed for Georgia and find out what is the school district's obligation to gifted students. That's the first thing you need to find out. What does the state require the school to do for MG children? Number 2, you are then going to investigate the mentally gifted policy in your son's school district. So you're going to investigate the mentally gifted law on the state level. And then the school district takes the law and they create policy. So you want to see what the law says at the state, and you want to see what the policy is at the district. And once you know what their obligation is to your son, you are then going to write a letter to the principal requesting a meeting to address why these things that the state requires and that the district requires are not being done.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And once you find out, you can get in contact with me, because I would like to, you can even send it to me. Email them. Once you get that state gifted code, because it sounds like Georgia still has a state gifted code, the law, code and law, basically the same thing. Email that to me. And once you find the school district's policy, send that to me. And if you can't find the school district policy, although there has to be one, if we got the state law, that will be enough from which we'll be able to write your letter.
Okay.
You feel me? But this is good, though, because if he was evaluated, the gifted coordinator, it definitely sounds like Georgia has an MG code. So all we got to do is draft a letter that basically speaks to what they should be doing, that they are not doing. And you could possibly even get them to pay for an independent school if they have been too neglectful of your son's MG rights. So we got to first see what the law says.
Okay.
All right. So once you have that, get back in touch with me.
All right, thank you.
Okay, love, no problem.
Bye-bye.
Donations, Cash App, $ FDMG School. Hello?
Yes.
Peace, black man. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Savannah, Georgia.
Savannah, Georgia. 1 second. 1 second. For Twitter, the Cash App to donate to the school is $ FDMG School. $FDMG School for my Twitter people and my Facebook people. $FDMG School. Make your donation. $FDMG School. Or you can mail in your donation. P.O. Box 9634. P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. Go right ahead with your question, my brother.
Yes, sir, Dr. Johnson. Thank you for this forum. I want to get your advice on a situation regarding our son. He has an 504 and an IEP, and we worked 2 years through middle school to get that for him. When he entered into high school, he became somewhat targeted by both the principal and some of the administrative staff, in that when the first day of school happened, there was no contact people, or the on-campus, on-site staff were not assigned. When we asked about that, we were told that they wanted to meet him first before assigning a care team. Number two, he was suspended from school the second day of school because he reacted to a group of students that were either crowding him or doing something, and he had a minor meltdown, and he was suspended from school. And then we were told by the administrative principal that he would not be permitted back in school until he had a mental evaluation.
Nah, they can't do that. They can't do that. That's illegal, but keep going.
Yeah, well, he insisted that he could, and we called him on and told him he couldn't, but he implemented that. And then further on, and this all happened within the first 3 weeks of school, he was suspended 2 times. He was sent away for mental evaluation. And then at this last interaction, the police were called in school to have him escorted out of school because he was walking the halls because he didn't want to go in his classroom. And the police were called before we were called. And by the time we got there, the police were there, and thankful to God that our son had calmed himself down and didn't react. But we literally pulled him out of school at that moment because this was in the fall when so many of the things that are happening now were happening then. And my concern, my question for you is, what should our both legal and emotionally supportive response be for our son and our child? And this happened in early October is when the last thing happened. And, of course, this is a while ago. And then how much time do we have, since it's been so while, such a long time with all the COVID stuff, that we can't legally respond?
Okay. And he's in what grade?
9th grade.
And he goes to a public or charter school?
Charter school.
Okay. 9th grade. So this was his first year?
Yes.
Okay. What is his disability category?
ADHD, depression, hyperanxiety, all of those in that spectrum. And he is on the autistic spectrum as well.
Okay. Couple things. Number one, a school cannot deny any child education. So what we should have did when they said he can't come back to school without a mental eval, we should have simply asked for that on paper stating my son can't go to school. Now, the fact that